How's it going, guys? Shark from Drunk Guy Explains. We're doing another master craps lesson, and this is going to be about breaking down craps strategies. Now, the biggest thing about breaking down crap strategies is that, a lot of times in crap strategies that you see on the internet or parents talk about, or maybe even see it on a live table, there's a couple of things that you see that you might not understand, or there's a lot of moving parts, so you don't know if it's actually making money or if it's kind of doing a Peter Paul paying off one debt to another profit. So for instance, if you sit here and have a system, and let's say the system is just everywhere. I mean, you're putting everything on everything possible. Well, if a number is getting rolled, then some of it's going to pay, some of it's not going to pay, and you don't really know where your system is lacking at. So for instance, you roll at 11, so these don't do anything, so that was a nothing burger. The 11 gets paid, the craps is lost, the come gets paid, the field gets paid, the don't gets taken, the pass gets paid, and let's just say the big 6 and 8 doesn't happen or doesn't get paid. So right there, you see that only 4 aspects of that has been paid. So a lot of times craps players will tell you, well, this might not be okay, but this is way better. A good way to understand that is maybe to see something like an iron cross. So an iron cross has the 5, 6, and 8 covered, a little Billy B chip right there, and has some money on the field, let's just say $10 on the field, and then money on the don't or money on the pass line, depending on what kind of play you are. I'll put it on the don't. So let's look at this right here, and a lot of people run the iron cross. However, let's break it down now. So let's say a point is established, okay? And so now let's look at it. So number one, no matter what, if a point is established, the don't pass line is slotted to win, that you're in favor of the 7. So right there, this ingredient of the strategy is sound. You're like, okay, the don't pass bar, as long as the point is on, the don't pass bar is slotted to win and you get paid 1-to-1 odds. That's a good ingredient. Okay, so now let's look at the field. The field is the second ingredient. The field, you're slotted to lose that 6 out of 10 times, win it, I think 4.5, technically like 4.5, 4.6% of the time. So this bet, standing alone, if you just keep putting $10 on the field, eventually you'll run out of money because statistically you're slotted to lose that bet. So this one is considered, I think, a bad bet. Now we start looking at these 3 numbers right here. Well, to hit a 6 or an 8 is 5 out of 36 each, and this is 4 out of 36. So to hit these numbers, one of these numbers is 14 out of 36. So you start thinking, say, okay, 14 out of 36, that's pretty good. And just to get a little indicator here, I'll put 14 out of 36. And then to hit a 7 is 6 out of 36. So we can go ahead and divide that by half, which turns this into 7, and turn this into 3. So right here, you're getting a 7 to 3 in favor. So that's pretty good. So you're like, okay, that's a good one. A 7 will wipe you out though. So in saying that, you'd have to hit these points twice. So that's where you get a little bit leery. But as it stands, that bet holds up to a 7, depending if you're turning it off and on. So we're going to put that right in the middle, saying, okay, so we have a good bet, a bad bet, and now we have pretty much a midline bet in terms of odds, 7 to 5, or 7 to 3, I should say. So you're like, okay, I can deal with that. And in saying that, we just broke down all these aspects. Now we can do the exact, turn it off, and look at this bet again. And say, well, when the bet's off, these are always running, so you have this on. So now let's look at it. You say, well, 7 is the most common throw, so this don't pass loses on a 7, so this turns into a bad bet. This one carries the exact same statistics, so we're going to put this over onto a bad bet. And if these are on, once again, if a 7 hits, you lose this, but 14 out of 36 times, you can hit this. So you're still kind of a favorite to this, but once again, you'd have to hit this 2.5 to 3 times. You have to hit it 3 times to get your money back if you're not turning it off after you hit one unit, or if you're regressing or pressing. So in saying that, I say this is kind of a medium bet. So now look what happened with the point and off. We went to okay, a good and a bad, to a bad, bad, and an okay. So you see how the dynamic can change in the different position where the point is on and off. And you can also see, hey, even though at one point the okay bet was okay because I had a good and an okay, maybe a little bad bet, but now the ingredients look a little bit worse. And that's the thing about strategies. A good burger is not made because you took bad ingredients and made it well into making an amazing burger. You want to have the best ingredients to create the best strategy possible. And you should be able to dissect all aspects of a strategy. And in order for that to happen, you need to understand the payouts, the odds, the house edge, your EV. Like, all these things come into a factor when dissecting a strategy. And that's the thing you should look for when looking at strategies. Does each portion of this strategy do well? Because when you look at this strategy as a whole, you're like, well, if I have this right here, or if the point is on and it's 7 hits, I'm protected right here, so I can juice this up. Or, if I don't hit these 3 main numbers, I will hit the field bet, so I can juice these numbers. And this is covered on the inside, which is 14 out of 36. So that feels pretty good, so I can hit all these numbers. So when you put it all together, you're like, well, I get paid a lot. But what happens is you lose and get paid and make $2, or lose and get paid back to back. And then, so at the end of the day, when you look at a big system that has a lot of moving parts, as a whole, it might look good. Start analyzing the ingredients. To build that strategy burger, analyze all your ingredients and then make your own decision. Well, guys, this is Shari from Drunk Guy Explains. We'll check you out next time.